at a release level to a certain extent, but it also happens every sprint. So you're doing a certain amount of testing every sprint. And really what we do, and I'm sure a lot of other Agile shops do that. And one of the things I absolutely love is that most of the boutique shops in the world are not Agile, but a lot of Drupal shops are. It's almost really a survival mechanism. That when you run in a sprint, at the end of each sprint, you're putting things up into a staging environment, and the client then looks it over. So it is tested to a certain extent, depends on how many hours we can have left over, but most of the time it's tested well enough. And so a lot of those things happen sprint to sprint. If anyone's really interested, two places I'd recommend going for, maybe 3 places for Agile. One is the agilemanifesto.org. It's not specifically about Scrum. It's just about the general principles. In fact, it's actually a bunch of people who disagreed with the best way to do project management, and it's just, I think it's 18 of them. What can we agree on? And that's what the Agile Manifesto is. The Scrum Guide at the Agile Alliance, or Scrum Alliance. And then my absolute favorite book on Scrum, and particularly gets back into the user-centric, is called User Stories Applied. And it's not so much about Agile, it's much more about how to do Agile planning and strategy. Yeah?
There's a new startup meetup here in Austin called Lean Startup.
Mm-hmm.
Ash Murray is working with Alexander Osterwald out of Lausanne in Switzerland. And it's real Agile. It's not the Agile, for me, old farts that have been in large corporations that have severe organizational antibody response. Yeah, I worked for 3 companies who are no longer in existence, and one of them was AT&T. The interesting thing about that approach is everything is metricized. So they put metrics on everything, and they just pound the hell out of the database. And that code's all up there in the Ruby domain. Go pull the code down and see what it takes to do a completely metricized. Because one of the things about Agile, there's 2 things. Real Agile is peer group pressure, and every single decision you make is probably wrong because the customer's not making it. So metricize it, put it out there. They do probably 9 rollouts a day, and continuous deployment and continuous integration.
Yeah, it's something. If you do test-driven design, there are, there's actually a pretty interesting talk that Dave Thomas, it was Martin Fowler did at the DFW Scrum meeting about continuous deployment. Although I don't think it's 9 times a day. I think it's talking more like once a week.
But that's still the techies. It's business.
You're talking about business. So you're talking about, so in the business world, Lean is sort of Lean and Agile are somewhat related concepts. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. What's the name of the group?
Lean Startup.
LeanStartup.com. There's a lot of interesting Lean Startup.
He's writing a book called Running Lean.
Okay.
And that's real agility.
Wow. Fantastic. Cliff?
Okay, in 30 seconds, what can you tell us about a problem I run into with prototyping, and that is getting the customer to fuzz their focus. The prototype isn't the final, and they see all the tiny imperfections.
It's a lot of discussions. I will say we spent a lot of time vetting clients and turned down an awful lot of clients. If we feel they're not ready for Agile, and really our biggest successes are companies that are already dabbling with it. They already have some buy-in from management. But a lot of it's a lot of conversations. It's a tough one. And then really almost the biggest problem we found is, okay, we've got this group, we've got our product owner, our client used to it. Now all of a sudden someone new comes in and they're like, what is this whole thing? This is ridiculous, we're not doing this. That's the biggest challenge we have. But yeah, it's a lot of vetting, a lot of conversations. And the thing is, by the time we take people through, a lot of times we'll say, hey, we're gonna take you through sprint 0, it's gonna cost this. But by the time you get them through like all the user story cards and all the role modeling and all that kind of stuff, they start to kind of get it. Most of them do, not all. Yeah.
Tom, are you doing any of that before the client really signs on? You're doing any prototyping to prove that it works and that you are a valuable resource to them?
Very little. There are a few clients for like either we have some existing relationship with them. We don't do a whole lot of that. Sometimes we'll like for a nonprofit for pro bono or something like that. But now generally, we want them to pay for it. Catherine, do you have a question? Okay. All right.